Well, before we say goodbye, warm up with this cozy soup.
Hi, my name is Katie Foster and I'm with Stir Cooking School. Today we are going to be making a roasted cauliflower creamy soup. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start with some butter in our pot and we're going to add our chopped onions. Since this is a pureed soup, they really honestly do not have to be very perfectly cut or anything like that. Same thing with the garlic. I'm not going to use my garlic roller. I'm just going to smash it, okay? And I'm just going to throw this garlic clove in here. So all of our garlic and our onions are in here. All right, we're just going to let that saute for a few minutes. So I'm going to add in my salt and pepper. You could use white pepper in this. I just love black pepper, so it's one of the reasons that I'm putting that in here. All right, I'm gonna put the lid on to just let it simmer down, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut up our head of cauliflower. So we have our head of cauliflower right here. I'm going to cut it in half from top to bottom, okay? I'm gonna cut it again, and then I'm gonna take out the core right here. You could also chop all of this up if you want to make it a little bit bulkier. There's a lot of flavor in this, just the texture's not as good, but because this is a creamy soup, it's not a big deal. So then these, you can either use your knife or you could break it apart, okay? Just kind of evenish pieces. We are then going to put onto our sheet tray. And we're gonna season this with olive oil and salt and pepper and then roast it for about 25 to 30 minutes until it becomes nice and golden brown like this. The beauty of roasting it like this too ahead of time is that this soup is not gonna take nearly as long to simmer. So we're gonna add it in here. And then I'm gonna coat all of the onions and the butter with our roasted cauliflower. And then into that, I'm gonna add some stock. This is a chicken stock. You could use a vegetable stock if you wanted to, or even water, okay? All right. So we'll let this come to a simmer. And one other thing that I'm going to add to this is right here I have some sage and some thyme. And instead of chopping this up so I have those thick pieces in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of butcher's twine and we are going to cut a piece off of it, okay? And I'm going to tie this. And I'm going to do this because we're going to throw this into a soup, so then it gets this really yummy flavor throughout it, and then we can just remove it like you would remove a bay leaf. So into here now, we have our soup simmering. Everything's nice and tender. And into this, before we start to blend it, I'm going to add in some heavy cream. Okay. You could also blend this without the heavy cream. You're just gonna need to add more liquid so it has some more to go with, okay? And before we start to blend it, we're gonna remove our herbs that we put in there. This is our awesome immersion blender, which we're going to use, which is like a power tool of immersion blenders, or power tool of the kitchen. So what we're going to do is that if you look in here, here's the liquid. Say my liquid is here. We're going to make sure that the immersion blender blade stays in between that liquid, because if it's at the bottom, it's not really doing anything, because at the top, it's popping up at you, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is start by just going around to kind of start the process. So now that we have blended our soup, it's this nice roasted cauliflower color. As I mentioned before, if you wanted that really creamy white color that you've seen before, potentially you just don't roast it. You would just simmer it longer or saute it with your onions to have that really clean white color. All right, then we have, as you can see, we have our pumpkin seeds. They're nice and roasted. And we're just gonna sprinkle these on top. Beautiful.
Oh my, take a class and learn more at stirtolearn.com.